Okay. Greetings, everybody. My name is Dr. Matthew Cherhadi, and I'm at the Gordon Research Conference in Newry, Maine. Today is June 25th, 2025, and this is a new episode of the Sandcat channel, and I'm really glad that you're watching my video. So, I am presenting the genome sequence of the Sandcat or Felis morbida, and that's the cat, not the drink. Let's not confuse the two. So here we have, this is what the Sandcat looks like. And so I teach computer science, or taught computer science at Concordia University of Maine. I was a computer science professor. I've worked in bioinformatics for many years. I'm not an experimentalist, so I'm really just presenting like the summary of the genome sequence of the Sandcat. And so, as the title says, what are the reasons for using the Sandcat as a model organism? First of all, we can study it using it in medical studies. This animal suffers from different microbial infections, being a small animal, 27,000 individuals all across the world. It really drinks water since it's a desert animal, so it must have a very interesting, unique kidney morphology. Perhaps we can use it for nephrology studies, perhaps. We can also use it for speciation studies, as we can see that here's the family tree, mitochondrial family tree for Felidae. You can see here are sandcats. It is closely related to the domestic house cat, and also they say to the black-footed cat, which is the closest relative. There are 4 different forms, and this is the lowest taxonomic rank of lowest taxonomic rank that there is. It's not on the level of a subspecies or an individual species, as for example the kiwi nose or the clouded leopard. So it would be interesting to watch as the sandcats, how they, in time as they form new subspecies. I predict that there's going to be a separate African and a separate Asian subspecies of the sandcat as time goes by, maybe several hundred years. But the most interesting thing is that this animal, as you can see, it's the only cat species which has a phenotype. Now, this is a very exploratory analysis. We only have like a genome sequence. I think it is a rather good quality genome sequence. I used the Falcon genome sequence as a guided genome assembly. We know everything from domestic cat, we know the protein sequences, and so what we can do is we can transfer this knowledge from this well-annotated domestic cat species to the sandcat, where we only have like a pristine genome sequence. We don't know anything about it. Now, there are several other animal species, such as the Arctic fox or the gorilla, which also have a furry paw phenotype. Using gene ontology analysis, we can designate several gene candidates, such as BDNF, FGF5, INHBA, WNT2, or keratin genes activate prostaglandin, which may possibly take part in the furry phenotype, in the furry paw phenotype. So my goal is that if we have these candidate genes, we reproduce the mRNA or the protein sequences in the sandcat using maybe 6-step or other bioinformatics tools. And also, thanks to AI technology, we can use AlphaFold 3, which we can use to reproduce the 3-dimensional structure of the protein sequences in sandcat. So we can use the regular cat and also the sandcat, maybe do an overlay of the protein sequences, see what kind of differences there are. Maybe there might not be differences in the protein sequences, maybe there are differences in the protein sequences, and see what is responsible for the furry paw phenotype. That would be one big result. But another big result would be if we can find the corresponding homologous genes or proteins in human, and if we can transfer these maybe mutated proteins into male scalp, maybe via lentivirus vectors, or maybe using CRISPR technology into the male scalp, we can help alleviate maybe possibly male pattern baldness, and that would be pretty lucrative. And that would be another big possible result that we can get from using a sandcat as a model organism. So that's my idea. Please like this video. thanks for watching and have a nice evening.
All right. So is that how I turn it off?